I bet most of you already have heard about the Dynasty Warriors franchise. The selling point of the games has always been about playing with one-man army fighting against dozens of enemies at once while dueling against powerful commanders. And Origins is just that, but evolved, and now there are literally thousands of enemies on screen, and the marketing of the game is blatant about it, since the catchphrase of the game is 1 versus 1000. Talking about marketing, thanks to Koei Europe for the copy of the game. I'm not exaggerating at all. Look at these battles and you can observe yourself the magnitude of the enemy's forces. This is the highlight of the game and its main selling point. Mowing through the hordes with your big area attacks and feeling like a true anime character never gets old. The game is also great at keeping the novelty, since they don't abuse it and not every stage features a horde, and they also keep it fresh by adding events that can happen while you are on the middle of it. The game's structure is similar to other in the franchise and the genre it spawned, the Musou. It is divided into scenarios that are equivalent to battles. Before starting a battle, there is a small briefing in the war room. Here, the commander will explain the situation of the battle, showing you the map of the scenario with the position of both friendly and enemy troops. The battlefields start as medium size and end being truly humongous. Most of the time the objective will be to vanquish the enemy forces, but more often than not there are variations or surprises. In fact, one interesting thing is that in some missions there are special objectives that can change the course of history. Worry not, because taking one option will not ruin your save file. I will talk about this later when talking about the endgame. I want to finish talking about combat and weapons first. The game features 10 weapons, which are fewer compared with the previous games in the saga, but in exchange every single weapon is different and have not only separate special moves but also unique mechanics. The standard sword is modeled after the classic Dynasty Warrior combat system. You have a chain of light attacks, and at any point of the combo you can press the heavy button and get a different strong attack depending on how many light attacks you did before. For example, doing one light then one strong makes you launch the enemies into the air, while light, strong is more focused on single target damage. The spear is quicker than the other polearms. The strong attack is the same after any attack and features a strong combo that does pretty good damage in front of you. The fists are about using several fighting stances that you can get into with several options, and you get extra benefits from swapping between your stances. The chakras are throwing weapons that go back to you. If you press the strong attack at the right moment you get a special stronger attack. The lance charged attacks makes you absorb attacks from your enemies, powering up the attacks and also gaining temporal damage that will be recovered. The Podao is all about charged attacks, being able to basically charge and power up any part of a chain. The staff is all about mobility while attacking. It also features lots of spinning moves that do multiple hits in a quick manner. The double axes are about wide sweeping attacks, and using strong attacks put you into a stance of repeating hits with a finisher that you can time for extra damage. Then there is the crescent blade, that is a glaive that is based around being able to power up your strong attacks for even stronger attacks, yeah. And there is a final weapon type that is kinda a spoiler, so I don't going to tell ya. Leveling up in this game is straight up related to using these weapons. When you rank up a weapon you also level up once. This means that the game literally forces you to use every weapon whenever you want or not, unless you want to fall behind. Leveling up unlocks more bravery points and trees of skills, so it is very important to use them all. NPC also will frequently offer you optional objectives called training, and most of them are tied to a weapon type. Their objectives are usually neat in the sense that requires you to use the special perks of the weapon type. For example, spear missions will requires you to use the triple strong combo and the Podao to kill enemies with the charged attacks. These missions grant you skill points that are used to unlock passive bonuses in the skill tree. And also they also will serve to improve the relationships with the NPC. All those tools are for dealing with the waves of enemies and officers. An officer is a generic term in the game for every strong opponent versus your common enemy. They are a lot tougher, and the biggest catching thing is that they possess a series of shield things that represent their stamina. Officers have super armor and their attacks can't be interrupted while they have shields. After they do an attack or get parried, they will become vulnerable and you will be able to combo them for a few seconds. Attacks at this time will drain shields more easily, and once you drain them all, they will knee to the ground, and you can use that opportunity to deal free damage and then use your strong attack to do an assault for great free damage that also turns you invulnerable and hit all close enemies. Battle arts are your special moves. You can equip up to 4 per battle. Each weapon has their own except for some global generic ones that belong to the skill tree. To use a battle art you must consume bravery, that are the small orange circles over your health. Bravery is gained by landing attacks and is only depleted by using battle arts or guarding attacks. If you try to guard an attack without bravery, your defense will be open and you will get hit by the next attack. You can also gain bravery by performing assaults, perfect dodges or parries. The flow of combat against bosses doesn't change in the whole game. Basically you wait for the officier to do an attack, then you either parry or evade it, and then in the small window of vulnerability you hit the enemy, staggering him and allowing to launch a strong combo or battle art. You repeat this until you break their defenses and finish it with an assault. If survives, back to the beginning. Officers are vulnerable also to launch attacks, and you can break more defenses if you launch them at the last moment to keep the attack. Battle arts that launch officers are very strong because of that. To break the routine, the officers also can do some other special attacks. Sometimes they will turn orange and do an attack. These attacks can't be blocked and only evaded. They also can be interrupted by using some battle arts named special. If you interrupt an orange attack this way, the enemy will be vulnerable for more time. Some of them will have red shields. While they have them, they can command their troops to gang on you. These can be countered by quickly depleting their defenses or using an special like you can with an officer. If you counter them with a special, then you can use assault and wipe the unit. If instead of orange, they turn red, that means they will use an unblockable attack that also can't be interrupted. These are some of the strongest attacks and you should be careful with these. Then there is another type of special attack where they put a shield on front of them while charging it. They also can't be interrupted and are stronger than regular attacks. And the final thing is the Musou attacks that are only used by the strongest enemies. A circle will appear on top of their head and will go filling up slowly. Before it fills up, you must break their defenses. If you fails, then they will use their Musou attack that are the strongest attacks in the game, that not only will deal massive damage to you but also wipe your allies. But your enemies aren't the only ones who can use Musou attacks. You also have a gauge where you can use these. When you start the game you only can use the regular Musou attack that does good damage in an area in front of you and also can interrupt anything the enemy does, including the red aura attacks and even Musou attacks if you time it well. Then, later in the game you get access to Rage Mode. In Rage Mode you get stronger and can use battle arts without spending bravery but consuming some gauge instead. Once the gauge is depleted, you will do a Musou attack and will get max bravery. And finally, after you unlock an upgrade in the skill tree, that one Musou attack will turn into the ultimate Musou attack that deals even more damage in a bigger area. It can clean a crowd of 1,000 people by itself. This is a lot of things, right? Well, I'm not done yet. When you progress into the game you gain access to your own unit of troops. These will fight alongside you, supporting you against the enemies, and also will allow you to use tactics. Tactics are unlockable usually with side missions and allows you to do cool stuff, from ordering a volley of arrows to a cavalry charge. Some of these also have special conditions that if you meet, like firing arrows from a high position, will trigger a critical success that will demoralize enemies' officers in the area, allowing to break them more easily. In the big battles you will also fight along with one of the greatest warriors like Guan Yu. If you fight closely with an ally and there is enough affinity, once you do a battle art, they will also do one alongside you, boosting its damage and armor break. You can also perform stronger team-up Musou attacks. And finally, once per battle you can switch and play as your ally using its weapon and battle arts. This plays like the Rage Mode in that you are limited by a gauge, and at the end of it, he will use an ultimate Musou attack, wiping the whole area. The last thing in battle is your horse. You can use him to move faster on the field but also can charge, knocking enemies, and you can do some swipes from it. Usually it is better to fight on land, but you will be required to use it to move quickly to save your allies. Thank goodness the game does a great job unlocking all this stuff little by little, so you aren't overwhelmed and little by little you become more used to it. This is all what I'm going to talk about the combat itself. Then you can get equipment to power up. You can equip one weapon, 2 accessories and 1 special gem. Weapons can have several qualities, from more damage to soldier to more easy to do parries. They are found in shops or by beating officers and can't be upgraded before you beat the game. Accessories are usually unlocked with side missions and present different benefits like healing after beating an enemy or to passively improve your attack or defense. They are more powerful than the effect you find in weapons. Finally, the gem is kinda complicated to explain. You only can equip one and there are 5 different effects like healing after killing 100 soldiers, more range on attacks, auto-block or more damage to enemies on the air. These are upgraded by collecting gems in the overworld map. When you spend them, you progress into upgrading one of the gems at random. Sometimes you get a special event where you only upgrade 3 of them and might get bonus points. Likewise, there is an item that will only allow you to upgrade 2. So it is better to wait for those to upgrade your gems with the desired effect. To finish the video, I want to talk about the endgame mechanics. You may stop the video now if you want to be on the dark. I'm avoiding spoilers anyway about the plot and events. The biggest thing, you unlock the Ultimate Warrior difficulty. This one makes perfect evading and parrying more difficult and greatly boosts the enemy officials. Most strong officers will be able to use Musou attacks and are a lot more aggressive. You also unlock what is basically time travel. You can switch the situation of the game to any point and start playing from it, being able to repeat events and battles. You can also then change your choices and go into a different path and literally change history. Thanks to this, you can't miss anything in the game and can redo battles over and over. At the end game, you can further level up and unlock more skill trees and one weapon. The weapon system also changes and allows you to upgrade weapons. You can now transfer qualities of one weapon to another or strengthen it up. For this, you need a weapon of the same type that will be destroyed after using it. This is interesting because weak weapons can become very strong because you can upgrade them further than the ultimate weapons that are rarer to find. Every single battle also gains a new special challenge objective. It can go from clearing the stage under a certain time to avoiding a companion to flee. These challengers offer special rewards that you only get once. Thanks to the difficulty increase, the weapon crafting and being able to explore all possible outcomes, the endgame is quite fun and fresh and triples the length of the game. This game is long, additive and complex, all this omitting the character dialogues and epic tales of the 3 kingdoms. I wish it were longer because it leaves you wanting more scenarios, more characters and more weapons. Thanks for watching. See you in the 3 kingdoms.